okay. I believe this is the kind of video that would be better as a head-to-head video, but as I explained in the previous video, this camera microphone doesn't pick up guitar very well. When you play, the sound modulates or muffles out or something if it gets distracted. Like if I try to talk and play at the same time, it'll focus on the voice, all that kind of nonsense. And of course, the second component that I don't have a second guitar to do a proper head-to-head with, which has probably done plenty elsewhere anyway, but I do want to talk about personal experiences with the instrument a little bit more than technical specs of the instrument anyway, because we're talking about budget instruments. So the technical specs are there, just kind of what they are. I'm not sure the current pricing on this model, I don't think is actually varied that much in the last 10 or 15 years. I think you can still pretty much find them for close to what I paid, which I might be remembering wrong. I want to say it was about $200. It might have been $250. I had bought an Affinity Stratocaster, a Squier, I think for like $150. Or they were in the pack for a certain amount, but if you wanted the Sunburst, you had to buy it separate. So I never actually bought the pack, and I used a bass amp instead for the practice amp instead of a champ or whatever, because the only big difference was I didn't have any reverb. But I was only using it mostly for guitar lessons anyway, so it didn't really matter. So I sold that one to my student so I could get this one because it was prettier. And I'm going to be talking about this. So you can see Squier, and made in Indonesia, I believe. And here where they've gotten a bit, cheap with the white instead of the cream and the white pickups, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. And white on the selector knob. And the thicker body, though, which other videos have talked about how if you want to replace out the pots, this will basically probably have the same pots as the Affinity series, but the body can handle bigger ones if that's important to you, especially if you're going to swap out the pickups. And all the lower budget guitars do the same thing. They what they lack in quality, they make up for in dazzle a little bit. So this is actually, to me, my eye, even more attractive than a lot of the more expensive ones, especially the pickguard. Has a lot more definition, a lot more going on than just kind of the boring brown ones with a little bit of fleck to them that in the $1,000 guitars and up. It's like, really? You couldn't make the pickguard prettier, And I really like this red tone. I had to have it, even though I missed the other one because the Affinity necks, I don't have massive hands, so I actually like the Affinity necks. I don't, make any two bones about it. They're nice, they're easy. It was an adjustment getting used to this one. It's not even like a huge neck, but it's a full size or whatever. That was a bit of a transition, and I was not a serious guitar player by any stretch of the imagination when I bought this. It was kind of like, oh, am I really going to spend $200 on a guitar right now? When I already have one that I like that plays perfectly fine and actually never went out of tune, like hardly ever, like for $149 guitar or whatever. I don't even think I ever changed the strings before I sold it. Maybe they've hopefully changed them by now. This does have the two trees though, which I guess if you swap out the tuning pegs, that's supposed to be, put less tension on the strings and get a more true tuning. But I also haven't had any trouble with these tuning pegs for as inexpensive as a guitar this was. That has not been the issue. This, I don't know what's parts, like I said in the last one, what's technically the bridge and what's technically the saddle is whatever. This, the guy at the guitar store basically told me that this was the Stratocaster improvement on the old Telecaster system. So the Telecasters that are a little bit more money now that still have this system might actually stay in tune and whatnot better than the ones with the cylinders and all that. So there you go, live and learn. And of course, you can buy this stuff separate if you really want to make it black or cream or whatever. But then the pickups are still going to be this bright white. But I have seen videos where they literally, I never would have noticed just playing it myself, playing by ear. I never would have known what it was about this guitar that made it not just a perfectly fine guitar. And literally, it is the pickups. They really do, if you play anything kind of more strident, when you really start to become an intermediary player, they have this kind of withering effect where they kind of, they won't pick up all the notes. The transfer from the string to the actual pickup through the amplifier will be very weak, very in and out. I don't think that's just me playing. I think other guys, like I said, other guys have done head-to-head videos where they demonstrate that. And then as soon as I heard their video, I went straight to the amplifier and tried to do something a little more up tempo and a little more, challenging or whatever. And I was like, yeah, that sounds absolutely, once you're kind of past playing beginner songs a little bit, you will find the limitations in the pickups. So I'm not, trying to make any particular recommendations because I don't know how much you care for a surfing look guitar. When I first bought the Sunburst one, I kind of thought of Buddy Holly when I bought it, but in most of the pictures I've seen, Buddy Holly played a black one. He didn't even play a Sunburst one. I don't know, but this definitely looks very vintage. If you really, 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 like I said, what they lack in quality, they make up in dazzle. So a lot of the guys like to swap out the pickups and the pots and make it a new thing. So yeah, and of course the fingerboard, I definitely like the dark rosewood fingerboards more than the maple ones. For what it's worth, that's total personal preference. I've played a bit on both, and definitely like that. But here, what they complain about the sharp frets, definitely gonna have to spend another $100 to get this done, at least, however much most music stores charge. And of course, you have the plastic nut here, which, again, I haven't had a problem with the tuning, but most people say swap that out immediately. So again, a white plastic, very obvious, not a cream bone at all. And so, but like I said, if you're on the market for a guitar for likely under $300 or in that neighborhood, and you're willing to put some money and work into it, I guess I can give it a recommendation. But again, if you don't like this color for some reason, you don't have to buy this color. But I don't know. Anybody has any questions? Hit me up. I'm kind of doing a series, I guess, on surf guitars because I saw a video about surf guitars, and I don't know how many people are actually interested in surf guitars for the sake of surf guitars anymore. I don't technically play surf music, exclusively or anything, but I just like, that old timey look or whatever.